Welcome back to Bright Fashion Academy YouTube channel for another interesting tutorial. In this class, I'll be teaching you how to make sew this beautiful flare gown without a half length. As you can see, the flare is running from the shoulder without any joining to the end. And you can see the beautiful patches Ankara with the strip, as you can see right there. So if this is what you want to learn in this class, please stay tuned to the end of this tutorial to learn more on how to make beautiful flared dresses like the one you have here, with pockets, strips, patches, as you can see. Okay, so I'll be teaching you the tips and tricks to making this accurately. So I'll advise you to watch to the end of this tutorial to learn more. Thank you. In this class, I'll be teaching you how to make this beautiful flared gown, okay, on the thumbnail. So to begin this tutorial, I'm making use of two Ankara. You can use an adire, you can use an Ankara. The plain fabric I'm making use of here is 6 yards. This one is 6 yards and this one is 3 yards. So I'm going to cut out the patches of this to design this, to create this. Okay, so now the first thing we want to do is to start off the folding of this fabric. So the Ankara comes by length of 45. Okay, this is the length of Ankara. It comes at 45, and it will not be able to give us the required length we desire. So I'm going to use the fold this on the yardage part. Okay, so I'm going to use the yardage part to fold this. So the yardage part I have now, I'm going to fold it in bias. Okay, so I'm going to fold it in bias in the yardage part. I'm going to fold it in bias like I said. So this is the salvage or hem part of it. So I'll just go ahead and do this. I'm folding in bias. Okay, all right, so right now I've folded it in bias. So I just want to show you what I did on the folded edge. Okay, so the bias part of it, I folded it not to the, to get the full bias point. So you have to fold it somewhat this way. Okay, let me still show you what I mean. Can you see? So I allow it to terminate in bias this way, but I'll start up my measurements. I'm going to start up my measurement from the part I can access the shoulder. Okay, so this is what I have on the hem part. Can you see? So when I fold it in bias, this is how it runs. So I allow this part of the salvage to touch this in this form, so you can see it right there that everything is on bias. So I'll just go ahead and take the measurement from this part. Okay, from this part touching this part now to this point. So I'll just go ahead and take my measurement. So I'll just rule a line at this point. Okay, so I'll rule my line from this point. I'll rule a straight line to serve as my hem. Then once I've ruled that straight line to serve as my hem, from here I'll now measure straight to get my full length. So the full length I'm working with here is going to be 60 inches, but if you look at that dress, you can see it's actually flowing. Okay, so if this is my 60, I'll just go ahead and add 3 inches to my 60. So if this is 60, and if I add 3 inches to it, from here is 2 inches, I can come up a little bit or even higher. Okay, so I really want it to flow, so I just come a little higher. So coming a little higher here, this will serve as my starting point, which is my shoulder. So you can see here I even have up to 11 inches. So it's very, very enough for my shoulder. So now this is the shoulder line, SH. This is my, from there I'll measure my chest line. I add half an inch for seam allowance on my chest line. So you can actually mark this at the back. I will advise you turn the back of your fabric, okay? But I've already turned the front and I'm working on it like that. So from here, 9.5 my chest line. I measure my waistline 17. I'll add half an inch. I'll measure my hip line 29. I'll add half an inch. So these are the measurements we need for this dress. So this is it. So the next thing I'm going to do is to cross check where I have my chest line. From this folded part where I have my chest line, I want to cross check to be sure I have my hip circumference. Yes, I have my hip circumference, although at this part on the hip is actually big. So my hip here is 46 divided by 4 will give me 11.5. So you can see I still have enough. Okay, so now we'll start imputing what we have on the, normally the way we do that. So you can see the line is straight, this folded part is straight. So I can start up the marking of the back, I can start up the marking of the front. So whatever I do here, I'll just have little alterations made for it. So I will advise we use this as the front for now, then later we can go over to the back measurement. So whatever I'm doing here, I'm doing it as the front piece. Okay, I'm doing it as the front piece. So for the front piece now, I will start from the center front. The center front is going to have 1 inch before we mark our starting point. That is for the button allowance. Okay, so that strip on the front will overlap like a button. So I will mark out my 1 inch. Alright, so here I've marked out my 1 inch to the hem. So this 1 inch is serving as my button allowance. So I'm going to start off the imputing of our shoulder. So from here, my shoulder is 15 divided by 2, 7.5. I'll add half an inch for sewing the sleeve. That is 8 inches. Now I'm going to use 3 by 3 for my neckline because actually it's a high neck. So I'll mark 3 by 3 as my neckline. So I'll just go ahead and create my neckline inside this box as usual, 3 by 3. So I'll come here at my shoulder and mark my 1 inch shoulder drop. I'll connect my 1 inch shoulder drop to this. From here, I'm going to mark my chest line. So here my chest is 40, or my chest line is 40. Divided by 4 will give me 10 inches. So I'm going to add 1 inch for my seam allowance. Remember, we are going to, the side seam is going to have a seam allowance. So I've marked that from that point. So here I have 11 inches. So I'm going to mark my 7 or 8 inches, which I marked at the shoulder line. I'll mark it here once again because I want to connect the shoulder line. Okay, so from here I'll connect the shoulder line. So once I've connected the shoulder line, next is to get the mid point of what I have here. I'll mark. So note that we are working on the front, so from here to here I'll come in by 0.75. I'm going to connect, so I'll have to come in with my curve ruler right away. So I'll connect my curve ruler as usual. Of course, you know how we do that. Okay, so I've done that. So the next is to go over for my neckline. So this neckline is actually a high neckline. So I've marked out the bodies, as you can see. So the next we want to go over is on the waistline. So my waistline from the center front line, I'm working with waist 36, which is 9 inches. I'll just add 1 inch ease to my waist, 10. I'll add another 1 inch for my seam allowance, that is 11. So I'll just curve that part of my waist. So I place my pattern ruler, curve it. Okay, so I've curved it at that point. So at this point which I have curved, I'm going to use my straight ruler to connect this curve to the A line. Okay, sorry, to the hem. So you can see the hem part. I'll just go ahead and connect from that waistline and have it run all the way from there to the hem of this dress. Okay, so this is the front piece of this dress now, and I'm going to extend the button part of it. So I will open up this part now. So I'll just simply cut out this part now and show you what it looks like. Alright, so now I'm done cutting the front piece. So the next thing I want to do is to open up what I have on that on the center front. So I just open the center front, and that is where we are going to have our strips sewn. So I'll just take the measurement of what I have on this center front line, and that is going to serve as my strip. So I'm done separating what I have right here. So I've separated it, and you can see I have 2 of it. So I'll just keep it and fold another for the back right now. So for the back now, I've already placed it on bias, okay, just like we did. So this part now is going to serve as the hem part for the back. So what I'll just do, so once I folded it in on bias, okay, like I did, so I'll just bring the front piece and cut out the shape, okay. Then we can now start contouring the back. So I just cut out the shape now, okay, just a square shape. Then we can now start working on it. So I'll just place this on top of this, making sure it aligns appropriately before I cut out. I'll just go ahead and make note of the chest line. Okay, so I'll raise it up and mark the chest line. This is the chest line. I'll mark the waistline. This is the waistline. So what I'm doing is transferring all my lines. Okay, this is the hip line, and these are the necessary lines I'll use to contour the back. Then I'll come over to the upper piece, and I'll use here to serve as my border line. So here already I have my shoulder drop, so I'll just mark out this shoulder line. I'll trace it up to that point and mark the drop. So these are what I want from here to here to this point. So this is what I need to work on. So this is my center back line. So I'll just go ahead and extend this center back line at that 1 inch. I'll I'll just go ahead and extend the 1 inch till I get to the hem, to the hip. Okay, so this is the hip line. For the back, the waistline, and then the chest line. So I'm going to create my neckline right away. So the neckline I'm working is also a high neck. So this is a 3x3 here, and this is 1 inch for it. I'll just go ahead and create my neckline. So then this is 1 inch, 1 inch for the shoulder drop. I'll slant it properly. Then what we have from here to here, we are going to divide to get the mid armhole. So since we are making back, I'll just go in by half an inch. So this half an inch, I'll go this way, and I'll bring in my pattern curve ruler to mark the back armhole. So once I've gotten the armhole for the back, the next thing I'll just go ahead to do, I'm using this 1 inch to stitch the center back. So I'll just cross check again to be sure I have my 11 inches on the waist and 11 inches on the bust and 11 inches on the waist. So I'll just come in here. I'm going to come in here from this tip, because I'm going to contour my back, and I'm going to mark 0.75 back contour line. So I marked it. Everything I have here is 1 inch. Okay, let me just be sure. Okay, everything is 1 inch. So from here to here is 0.75 on the waistline. So I'll use it to contour the back neckline. So I'm contouring it this way. So but note that when I'm going to sew this dress, I'm going to use 1 inch to sew the center back. Okay, it's supposed to be half an inch, but because of the way we place this fabric, I decide to use 1 inch because I have 1 inch for the front zipper. So from here I will connect to the waist. Okay, I'm making it slant to the center back that way. All right, so we are done with this dress. So I'm going to cut it. What I have here now, I'm going to cut it out. So my neckline extension for the back, I'm going to extend my neckline. So if you look at it now, you can see it's easier for us right away. Everything is easy. So I've cut it out. So next is to cut out the back contour line. So I've removed the zip bulge. So I just go ahead and open up what I have here to the hem of the dress. Okay, so to the hem of the dress, we are done with the back neckline. So when I'm going to sew now, I'm going to sew 1 inch, 1 inch following this line. So it's actually going to go this way. We go into the flower patches. So I just thought of cutting out the strip for the front. So for the both center fronts, I have the strip of 2.5 by the length of the dress. So the strip is going to be 2.5, as you can see. So I'm going to fold in 0.5 to sew the other, 0.5 to sew the other. At the end of the day, we are aiming at 1.5 for the strip. So you see how this will be done. So I'll set it aside, and then I'll bring back the dress to cut out the flower patches. So the flower patches, it is very important you also note the part that is back. This is the front piece of this Ankara. I'll just use chalk marks to identify the back. So right now I'm done marking out the flowers I want to cut. So what I want to do now, I will not be making use of these flowers because they are not complete. So I'll look for other flowers I have in. Okay, so like I said, you need to, whichever one. I'm looking for full flowers. What I mean is full flowers. Like this one now, you can see I've already tampered with it. So I'll just go ahead and find full flowers. So anyone that is full, I'll go by it. So I can make do of that. So I'm cutting 5 pieces of this. So the first thing I'm going to do now, in each full flower I want to make use of, I'll just do this. I'm cutting it this way first because I'm going to lay my lining on top of it with my hemming gun to stabilize it before we start cutting the flower patches. So I'll get them out this way, 5 of them. Let me do that. I've cut out the pieces of the patches I want to make use of. So I just cut out 5 flower patches here. So I'll be showing you how to go about the lining of those patches. So I just come in with my ironing fabric, and this is a sort of a thick hairstay, okay, or a body gum. So you can also use a cotton fabric that does not have this kind of gum. So if you are using a cotton fabric that does not have this kind of gum, this is the Ankara patch. So I'll do this for each of them, one after the other. So I'll just go ahead and do what? If I'm using, for example, I'm using a cotton fabric, please make use of a cotton fabric. Don't use anything hard for this. So this is my hairstay. I'll just go ahead and lay the hairstay. I'll just lay the hairstay on top of it. So this hairstay is going to make it stick, and it's going to give it that stability we desire before you lay your cotton fabric. So I just lay the stay accordingly. So you can see how I laid it. I make sure it covers the part I'm going to cut. So but if you have this that has gum already, because if you can see it's shining on that part, I think it will be better for you. But if you don't have, you can still do this without using this. So I'll lay it on top this way. I'll lay it on top of it this way. You can come in with, use your steam if you want to make it faster. In fact, you need your steam iron to make it faster. But if you don't have a steam iron, you can simply go ahead and lay your piece of fabric on it with steam and iron. So I just keep, ironing right away. So right here, I'm done with the cutting of the flower patches, and this is what I came out with. So I decided to make only 4 pieces of it. So I'm going to start placing them the way I want. So this is a front pattern piece right now. So we have the 1 inch for our button. So I'll just take off one of these. So this is the back piece of this dress. I'll use one to demonstrate to you how to go about the placing of this. So I'll just place this now. I'll place the first one starting from I just want it to cover the shoulder line a little bit. Then I'll pick up the next one. So you are going to arrange it the way you actually want them to appear. So I'll just place this on top of this. This is my half length, so I don't actually want it to get to the half length. Okay, so I'll be placing it the way I actually want it to appear. So I just raise it a little bit and place this on top of this to cover this. Okay, all right, so at least I have it covering it the way I want it. So I just keep arranging it till I get what I want. So once I'm done, I'm going to secure with my pin. Then I'll go over to the zigzag machine to use my zigzag to quietly run around this. So after you have pinned them down and have arranged them, so we'll start to sew. So we'll start sewing right now. So like I earlier said, we'll be using our zigzag stitch to sew. So I'll just start sewing from any point of my choice. So I just choose to start sewing from here. So I'll be sewing now with the zigzag stitch. So like I said, if you don't have a zigzag stitch machine, you can just do that elsewhere. Okay, so once I get to that point, so you can see what I have on my zigzag setting. So you can go ahead and set your machine the way you desire. So once I get to this section I'll just navigate, turn to the other part and drop my presser foot, take off my pins, and I'll start to stitch, as you can see. So this is what I'll keep doing, like that. I'll keep sewing this till I finish up all the lines. Okay, right, so I'm done stitching right now with my zigzag stitches, as you can see right here. But what I did on the neckline is to run stitches on the edges. Okay, so you can see I have stitches holding this part, as you can see. So the stitches I have on the edges now, I'll just trim them off. So I'll start by trimming it off on the edges, as you can see. So I'll simply follow the neckline. Note that we are going to have a Mandarin collar to this neckline. So I'll just simply trim off what I have on the edges. Okay, so I'm going to repeat this process right now. I'm going to repeat it for the other part as well. So now this is what we have at the end of the day. Okay, so that's how we have our patches right on top of this. So our 1 inch allowance, we are going to sew it at this point. It's going to overlap. So let me quickly trim off, then we'll sew our strip before we go ahead and join the. So right now I'm done with the trimming. So this is what we have right now. So I'll be using this part to demonstrate to you how I'm going to sew this strip. So this is the strip I earlier cut. So I'm trying to identify the point I marked as the back. This is the point I marked at the back. So the idea is to pick up this wrong side and match it up. This is the back where I marked, and match it up with the right side. So I'll just go over to my machine now and sew 0.5 inch down. So by the time I sew 0.5 inch, I'll come in this way and top stitch the remaining 0.5. So now I'm picking up the back. This is the back facing up. I'll match the right side to the wrong side of the dress. So let me quickly sew, then show you what next to do. So I'm done sewing the 0.5 inch, as you can see. So I'll just quickly turn it this way, the 0.5 at its edge. I'll make sure I have it at the edge this way. Okay, so I'm going to tuck in 0.5 because the aim is to have my strip at exactly 1.5. So from this edge, I'll measure, make sure I have 1.5 before I fold. So this is where I have my 1.5. So I'll just go ahead and use my pin and secure these before I sew. So let me quickly do that. So right now I've folded the 0.5 inch, making sure I have the width at 1.5. So make sure the width is even at 1.5. So as I'm top stitching now, I'll be checking the width at 1.5. So I'm going to run my stitches from the beginning to the end for both of them. Then later I'll turn it aside and trim off this part. So I'll do that. I'm done top stitching right now, as you can see. So this is what it looks like at the back. Okay, so now I'm going to trim off the excess strip. I'll just trim it off. Okay, so I'll repeat the same process for the other piece right now. So proceed to the joining of the shoulder seams, and then we'll sew our sleeves. So we are done with the two pieces for the front. So you can see what we got at the end of the day. So one is going to overlap the other this way. Okay, so it's going to overlap, then we'll have our press button. So we are done for the front for now. So I'm going to join the back piece. So for the back piece, if you remember, we contoured our back, if you remember. So I'll just hold it down the way it is, but make sure you note the part that is front and back. So I'm going to sew at 1 inch. Okay, that was the allowance we added. Remember, we had 1 inch. So I'll stitch at 1 inch this way with the contour line till I get to the end. So now I'm done joining at 1 inch. So I'll just go ahead and give it a good press. So if you wish to reduce the seams, if you wish to leave it the way it is, fine and good. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to lay the right to right. Okay, so you can see that I'll just lay the shoulder seams the normal way we do that. So I'm going to stitch at 0.5 for both sides. So I've joined my shoulder seam lines. So the next thing we want to do before closing the sides, we need to create the pocket. So to create this pocket, this is the waistline. So I'll just come down by 2 inches from the waistline for my pocket. So this is where my pocket is going to start, at 2 inches. Okay, so I'm going to place this pocket. So I'll just create a notch at that point. So I'll bring it together and create a notch at that point. So that's where I'm going to sew my pocket. So the next I'm going to do is to cut out the pocket. And to do that, I come with my piece of fabric, as you can see. So I just get a piece of it. So I have it placed on fold. And then I will be creating my pocket right here. Okay, so to create that pocket, I'll be using this edge. So from here, I'll come down by 1 inch. From here, I'll come down by 1 inch. And from here, I'm going to measure out 6 inches. So that is going to be the size of my pocket. So I'm creating this for only one pocket, and I'll use what I have here for the other pocket. So I'll place my hand. You can see how I placed it, starting from that 1 inch. I'll just do what? Bring it back to that point, so that becomes my pocket. So just place your hand, slant your hand this way, and from there you connect downwards your pocket. So I'll go ahead to cut out, as you can see. So I'll use what I have here now to create the other side of the pocket. So what I have here, I'll place it back here to create the other one. So I'll quickly do that now, then we'll go to sew. So I'm done sewing the pockets, as you can see. So the next thing now is to turn what I have here to the wrong side. So to the wrong side with my pockets, I'm going to stitch. So I'll just go ahead and stitch at 0.5 this way. Once I get to the pockets, I'll go in this way at 0.5. So we are done with the dress now, and you can see the pocket right here. So I also have it on the other side. So the next thing now is to sew the collar. So for the Mandarin collar, we are going to measure your neckline. Okay, I'm taking the round neckline measurements. So make sure you take the round measurements appropriately. So I'm taking it right here, and here I have 21. So I'm going to use this fabric for my collar. So for my collar, I'm going to place the fabric on bias to form this collar. Okay, so I actually want to get this part of this design. So once I've done that, from the top of the bias, I measure 17 inches, and I have already taken the width as 2.5 for my Mandarin collar. So here I'm cutting it out right now, placing it on top of the other for the lining. So at the point I'm measuring the neck width right now, I'm done sewing the Mandarin collar. So I'm going to choose one part to be my front and the other the lining. So I'll just go ahead and top stitch. Okay, so I'll just make a top stitch to the part I want to be the lining. So I'll just flip the seams and top stitch. So I'm done ironing and top stitching the Mandarin collar. So the next thing I want to do now is to sew the collar into the neck line. So I'll come in with my neckline right now. So as it stands now, this is how this collar is going to sit this way. So I'll just flip it this way and pick up the lining part this way. Okay, so I pick it up this way. Can you see it? This is it. Open up the seams. So I just turn it this way and sew. So I'm going to sew from one end to the other, from the other end, then I'll flip it again and top stitch. So I've sewn the first layer right now. So the next I will do is to top stitch on top of it. So I'll just fold in 0.5 inch and top stitch. So I encourage you to secure with your pin. So I'll just secure with my pin till I get to the end, and I'll go over to the machine and sew from end to end. I'm done with the Mandarin collar right now. So the next thing I want to do is to attach the sleeve. So I'm going to cut out my basic sleeve, and I'm going to attach it to it, and we are done with this cloth. I've added the sleeve right now. As you can see on both sides, I've added my sleeve. So this is the dress. So you can put your buttons of this same color. If you want, you can create a buttonhole to it. If you want, you can also use a press button for it. Okay, so then you can hem the down part of it as usual. So that is how we'll come to the end of this tutorial. If you are new to this channel, please kindly subscribe, turn on your notification bell to receive videos like this every day. Like this video, share to family and friends. Drop your comment on the comment section and your suggestions as well. Thank you once again for coming. See you in the next class. Bye.